First thing I did was start laying down a base with some water-activated face and body paints. I often like to start with yellow in rainbow paints in general because I find it's nice to blend out either way, either to the warm color side or to the cool tones. So from here, I was able to follow along with some of the orange going towards the left side of my body, and then also started doing the lime greens to blue on the right side. Best way to get a good gradient across the colors is to use a really soft hand at the very edges. So anywhere where new colors meet, you want to lift the brush lighter and put a lot less weight on it to get a more feathered edge that you can then blend new colors into. You can also do what I did here between the teal and the lime green, and that's to put them beside each other and then just use a mixed color to actually be the blend between them, and then just softly connect the two with a smaller brush and some circular motions. For colors that have a really strong shift, like this crazy bright red into the really soft colored orange, I did leave a bit of a bigger gap, and this gave me more room to blend the really dark color into the lighter one. I had more room for that gradient to be built without just painting over the entire orange area that I'd already laid down. Then when I got to the pink, I wanted to create kind of a neon magenta color, but when I used my magenta, it seemed to be almost the exact same tone as the red, so I went ahead and used some of the light pink over top to soften that down and create more of a contrast. The pink into purple might have been one of the trickiest blends here because I was going from a warm tone color to a cool tone. So if you do something like that and you do a hard shift of colors, you're just gonna have to take a lot more time in the blend, and it might look a little bit muddy, so you have to kind of play it careful to not go overboard, but also try and get that nice gradient. To get a really dark eye look, I first laid down some black gel liner all over my lid, then took a fluffier clean brush to soften the edges. You want to blend the edges of the gel liner before it fully dries, or else you might get left with some harsh lines showing through. And then once it's blended out, I went over with a matte black eyeshadow and softened everything out further. And then of course, to make the entire eye area smoky, I just carried it underneath and filled in my waterline as well. For the brows, I just lightly filled them in with a little bit of that black shadow, mainly because I didn't want them to be completely invisible, so I did want some definition, but at the same time, they weren't really the focus of the look, so I didn't go too in-depth with them. Now for the main focal point of the look, the endless lines, and it is as tedious as it looks, that's all I can say. I started off by laying down the center triangle between my eyes and along the nose bridge, and that kind of gave me a good starting point. And then from there, I started adding the lines coming down from my forehead. I kept thickening them as I went so they would have a little bit more weight and presence, and that way I didn't have to be as busy. This was honestly really tricky, and as much as I wanted to pretend I would have the steadiest, cleanest lines ever, I hiccuped a lot throughout it. Some I had to kind of fix. The rest I just had to embrace, and I kind of went with the idea that I knew at the end it would be a lot. There would be a ton of lines, it would probably look pretty chaotic, and that hopefully would hide some of the mistakes I was making while painting. So if you're doing something similar, do have a little bit of trust in the process on this one. Know that at the end there's gonna be so much going on, it's gonna be hard for people to pick out all the mess ups or hiccups you might have along the way and just have fun with it. Kind of also the same rule when you do like a lot of dots in a look. They make everything look more complex and they kind of fill in space, and people just think it looks more complicated than it is, even if it's maybe not the cleanest. And I did also quickly throw on some black lipstick because it was looking real crazy. I mean, it is a crazy look in general, but it was looking real crazy without any lipstick on, so that just kind of helped anchor the face a little bit. And then the rest was just made up as I went. For the hair, I just threw on a black wig because I knew it was going to be on a black background and I wasn't even gonna really see the wig. I just kind of wanted to black out my own hair. And then if you're someone who wears contacts, this would be a great look to use black scleras for. But of course you can pick whatever you want. But that was it for my hopefully pretty trippy lines makeup look. This was inspired by an incredible artist who I will have their socials linked in the description. Please check them out. It gave me a lot of guides for the face itself, and then I was able to kind of just fill in the neck and chest from there. As always, thank you so much for watching. I of course will see you next video, so until then, bye guys!